Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Becoming African. My name is Rispor Kello, and I will be your hostess for this podcast. So, for our very first episode, we'll be talking about culture shock and how we survived it, and what we did to manage the culture shock, and how we can essentially advise people who are coming into the UK or traveling abroad for studies or work, or people that are already settled into these countries and how they can just, survive because it's a scary time. But with me here are my two lovely friends, of which I will let them introduce themselves and they will tell you their name and where they're from and potentially what they're studying.
Okay, hi, I'm Sibu Sisiwe, formerly known as Sibu. I'm from South Africa and I study law. I'm a first year student.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I'm from Uganda and I study biomed engineering.
Cool. Oh, also, I am from Kenya, but no one really asked that. But so we'll just move on. So I guess to just break the ice, like for you guys, what was what did it feel like? Once you landed into the UK and you're just like I'm miles away from home and you have to figure it all out by yourself.
Well, I first came here with my parents, so it was a lot easier to manage those first few days. But after they left, it was like earth shattering because I was like, there's no way my parents are this far from me, and I'm like by myself, basically having to start from ground zero with friends. Not language as much, but the culture, the way things are done, very different. The currency, and like transport, how it works, because that's very, very different. And on top of that, education, managing. But yeah, here I am still, so I must be doing something right.
Survive.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit different for me because I came on my own. I realized from the moment my mom left the airport, me standing in line for immigration, that's when I realized, oh, blast, I'm on my own. And from then on, it's just been one hurdle after another. But we move. Yeah.
I think mine was somewhat similar to Elaine's in the sense that I also came alone. And after, I said bye to my parents and, you're getting past the luggage check and everything and you're like, oh, so excited. Yeah. You're traveling. But then once I got past like security and, passport control, I was like, oh, I'm going on like a 13 to 17 hour flight by myself to land into like a foreign country. But then once I got here, I realized the English we'd been speaking back at home, it was not English because I struggled. Because I struggled so hard to understand.
So it doesn't help with the accents as well.
And they're talking so fast. And the entire time, someone's just asking me for my boarding pass. And I've said, huh? Like, I've said, huh? Like 15 different times. To the point where they're like, passport? Yeah. Just give it to me. That was...
I don't even bother to say, huh? I just smile and nod. Smile and nod.
The amount of times you'll say, oh, please can you repeat that? Oh, please can you repeat that? It's like, did I learn English or did I learn another language? Because what are you saying, my friend?
And given that, all our three countries are colonized by the British people, so we're learning the English.
National languages are English. We say it proudly. I can't speak English.
I came here and I was like, let me start watching tutorials to sound more British. Maybe perfect on the accent, we can understand each other. But it's okay. Eventually, we persevered. We got through it. We was able to come here, to campus, settle down. And then it was still like sunny, for me, well, the first like 2 to 3 weeks was very sunny. And yeah, it was, I liked it. But then now when winter started setting, then it got a bit, crazy. And autumn came, the whole season thing. Let's first talk about that. We don't have, I know, especially for like East African countries, because we are like more of like the equatorial region, we don't have seasons. I know in South Africa you probably do have seasons, but they're not as drastic as it is here.
The longest season I would say is summer. Like that's our main season. Winter, I've honestly won't even. It's like a month or two, not even. For here, it's the complete opposite. Like, I've been told the hottest time is only 2 weeks long. I'm like, huh? How do you survive that? Because with the heat, like, people are more social. It's sunny, you're outside, and obviously the sun contributes to your mood, which is another conversation. Because with this lack of sun, I didn't think it would impact my mood, but it actively did. Like, me not seeing the sun as much, I just felt so drowsy. I couldn't do like what I used to. I wasn't as energetic. I'd have to like force or take supplements. I'm like, what?
Don't even get me started. When people told me back home that you were gonna get seasonal depression, I was like, no, not me. Me? No way. But I did, and it did happen. And honestly, it was such a hard thing especially because the one thing that I longed for most wasn't even like the sun. It was more like my family. But they're 1,000 miles away. And I'm just sitting here in the cold in my blanket by myself.
With how many layers, child? You can't even count.
I don't even think, like, I mean, I could call back and obviously complain and be like, it's so cold here. Can the winds just blow me back to Kenya? But you know, I know my parents would be like, oh, it's okay, Rispa, you know, we miss you. But they'd proceed to send me a picture of them, you know, either at the coast or at the village when it's hot and they're sitting underneath a mango tree and enjoying sugarcane. And I'm like, that's amazing.
I know.
I want to cry.
Honestly, it's so strange to think that your family is back home alone doing stuff without you. And like, it's like, I'm happy to think about them, but it's also really sad because
like,
I want to be there
looking in.
Yeah.
You know, I think let's put a star on, you know, just missing out on family events and just go back to, you know, winter. Because I think when winter came, it came unannounced. One day I'm looking at the weather app, it's, let's say, 22 degrees. The next day it's 12. No, it just did a 360 turntable degree, whatever. And I was like, it's so cold. And I remember we spent so much money on a winter wardrobe because I've never really needed one. We just have the same wardrobe throughout the entire year. But what me, the worst, I think, culture shock I had now was the whole daylight saving time. When the time changed, you know, when it was 1:59 and then instead of it going to 2:21.
No, I was awake for that and I was so confused because it was obviously 1 a.m. I thought I was tripping. I thought I just needed sleep.
I legit thought I restarted my phone and then I get a snap from a Snapchat. Anyways, a snap saying, "Oh yes, the time goes back." I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, I think Rispa is the one who called me and told me that, and I was like, huh? Nobody told me that.
I thought the mental insanity of the UK had got to the best of me. Like a month in, because I was having a conversation with a friend at night, having a nice, fun conversation. He leaves at 10 to 2. Well, 10 to 2. And in my head, I told myself, okay, it's just 1:50. If I chill for 15 minutes, I can just, you know, scroll on Instagram. I'll be fine. Go back to go sleep because I wasn't really feeling that tired. I look at my phone. Okay, it's 1:59. Okay, that's calm. Not bad. I have 6 minutes left. I check 3 minutes later. It's 1:02. It was 1:59. Ask Siri. Tutu. You know, like, Siri, what's the time? It's 1:04. I'm like, AM? You know? Oh, okay. Am I tripping or Siri tripping? What's not happening? I just said, let's sleep on it. And then I wake up, I see my, you know, now the traditional watch, the watch, like it's an hour ahead. Nothing is making sense. And a friend had to explain to me that this is what they do. And I was like, did they just seclude Africa from it? Because why does it not happen at home? Like, just move it, you know, just move everyone if you're pushing it forward or back, you know?
The time away or something. That would happen back home, bro.
I like to think of it as like time traveling because that sounds cooler. But
it's time manipulation.
Yeah, that's exactly
how
what
do you
it
just
is.
mess with time like that? And then recently, now the time moved forward. Yeah, moved forward, I don't even know the English word, but yeah, it changed. It's changed. But then the other thing now that really messed me up now was now the sun setting at like 3 p.m. Well, it's not even the sun setting, it's the light leaving. I think because there's no sun.
Like I'd have 9 a.m. lectures, so I'd get up at 7 a.m. It's dark. I come to school. I'm leaving school at 6 p.m. and it's dark again. What? It's like, and I'm in the building all day. I get no sunlight. It was horrible.
There's nothing. For a week I had dinner twice a day because I'd leave my lecture at 6. I look out, it's dark. So my head automatically thinks, oh, girl, it's time for you to go have dinner. 2-3 hours later at 9, I'm hungry. It's 9. So I'm like, what do I do? Let's just eat. And then the seasonal depression starts to kick in because you're not really getting the exposure, the sunlight exposure, you're not getting the vitamin D. No one told me you need supplements for this. It's good to have supplements once in a while, but if you can source it out naturally, then that's what I would prefer, I didn't know I needed that until I now went on panic mode and sat with a friend and they explained to me, so this is what happens. What you're lacking is vitamin D. So what you need to do, go to the pharmacy and, cop yourself some. And you won't be fine, but you'll be much better than the mess that you currently are. And eventually we did try to cope. I thought winter was going to last December, January. It's April. It's still cold. I think one day in April reached 20 degrees, but it's gone back to
I mean, to be fair, it was cold when I landed because I came through Dubai and Dubai is like 30 degrees.
Like always.
Exactly. So you go from 30 degrees to 15 degrees. Like, that's a full 15-degree drop. I was freezing to death when I first came and I'm still freezing to death. So,
I mean, at some point I thought the sun was a scam because you'd be like, because I'd check through the window, you know how you open your blinds to see, okay, the sun's out, so maybe it's a bit calm. Step outside, you're shivering, like actively shivering. You have to wear a jacket. You're like, okay, even when you face the sun, you're not feeling that warmth. It's just there for the vibes.
It's there for decoration.
It's just there.
It's like if I just drew a sun figure and just plastered it on the sky. I'm just like, okay, just stay there. And I think it got so bad to the point where I'd be taking like a bus to go wherever, to town, or if the sun comes out when I'm at the station, I will miss that bus to just stand there and bask in that 10 minutes. Because, first off, it's like golden hour. So, your skin is now glowing.
You have to take a picture.
Take a picture. Because it's like a literally once in a blue moon like type of, experience, especially in winter. I'd miss my bus and I'd stand. So I'm standing there looking so crazy because I'm just like... smiling because also having like the sun is on. And when the sun goes, and like, oh well, that didn't last very long. And then now we go take the bus and then go to wherever. But I think we need to have like a terms and conditions, like just written down that like an acceptance letter, like this is what you're agreeing to. When you're coming to study abroad, this is what you're agreeing to. There's gonna be some seasonal depression, so carry medication if need be. Please do have your winter wardrobe, ready, and then carrying home food, because let's talk about seasoning here.
It's non-existent. There is no seasoning.
No, I thought it was like a stereotype that by the UK, they don't really season their food that much, because mind you, let's talk about it, their meal, beans on toast, they rave about that. I'm like, no, you're joking. I see one of my flatmates did this, okay guys, almost cried. They defrosted chicken, nothing on it, put it in the oven, cooked, came out, this thing is white. Like, do you understand what Jesus wore? White. I'm like, no ways. They didn't add salt. They didn't add spice. I was like, I've never seen a chicken this white in my entire life. Okay. I'm like, oh no, they're going to add sauce. They're going to add spices. Like, this is a build-up moment for me, okay? I'm just watching him. This man takes a bite. No, nothing. He's like, I'm like, No, I'd be damned. I almost had tears in my eyes. I was like, huh? Then he proceeds to go, do you want to try some Gatti?
No, thank you. It's not my not for my palate,
I saw this live and I was like, oh wait, this is actually legit. Like,
Let me tell you, they be munching,
hey,
feasting, cleaning bones. I'm like,
having the time, licking their lip, licking the thingies. I'm like, no way, guys.
like, oh, that was amazing. 10 out of 10. Like, what? Finger licking way, yeah. Like,
Like it's rough. It's so rough.
have you never not heard of paprika? Just give it like a
Something.
Please salt, please.
Something.
salt and pepper.
It's like they fear spice. Do you understand? It's almost like they fear it.
You know, I think, because most of the food here, like I've noticed, most people like eating like frozen stuff. When back at home, you'd buy everything fresh and then you go cook. And then for me, like in my, like back at home, like we rarely use, the spices that you buy from, if you want like the paprika taste, you'd much rather use now the bell peppers itself than use paprika. It doesn't necessarily taste the same, but it kind of gives you the flavor is, the same. You'd much rather buy coriander in itself than, have the dried, coriander, because you don't really want the preservatives in your body. You just want it fresh and then it just smells nice. And when you eat it, you're like, it's been cooked with so much love, But now here, the love is from a machine. You're buying it from a packet,
From the frozen
popping it in the oven.
But if you think about it, the cost of living here is so much higher than anything we've had at home. So obviously it is harder to have those loving home cooked meals here, especially as a student as well. But that makes it even harder for us to cook what we want to eat.
Yeah.
So
No, it's a struggle. And I think because we now, once we came to, I guess, realize this is the type of food culture that they have, every time we go back home, we'd have to come back with our own spices and foodstuffs that we can actually carry from, home that, will be approved by, like security and passport control.
Back home yet? I've been here for like 8 months, guys. I want to go back.
When the time comes, you'll be so happy to get on that plane back. But I know things like tea, I know I've tasted, like I've had like English tea, but if I'm making myself tea, it's the Kericho Gold from Kenya. That's what, like, it's our packets. The ones that now are being exported here, they're rebranded differently now. The OG tea bags, that's what and it gives it that proper, flavor. Like, things just taste so much different. Not even like your organic foods, even the snacks and the junk.
The Doritos.
Fanta.
Guys.
English Fanta is disgusting.
Let's talk about Fanta orange.
It's Fanta yellow here.
Fanta orange is Fanta yellow.
Do you understand? When I first saw it, I thought it was expired because I'm like, it's not meant to be that color.
What orange?
Why does it look like that?
Why?
And it tastes even worse. I tasted it out of curiosity because, like, Fanta is Fanta. Maybe it's just they used a different coloring. Oh, it tastes so bad, guys.
Nah. It makes you miss, like, I'm just like, I just want Fanta orange, like literally orange, Orange. I can't be pouring it in my cup and you're asking, is this passion or orange? Like, you need to be able to see it is literally, quite literally orange, Yeah. Oh, and then another thing is now, like, let's say fast food, like the chicken, McNuggets. I think I was coming from work and I was like, I'm hungry, let's just pass by Mackey's because it's cheap. You just want something to fill your stomach, If you go back home and you pass out, then at least you have food in your stomach. If you don't, then you have time to fix yourself something. And then I see a deal, I think it was like $4.99 for, this is not an ad by the way, $4.99 for like, I think 20-pack nuggets. I'm like, okay, fine. Hey, things are flavorless. You try even putting it in the dip, it's it just I mean, I ate it because I spent money and I was hungry, but no, I really miss like KFC from back home. The what do you call it? The wingman combos, the ones, the sticky wings.
They don't have Streetwise. I felt so dumb. I went to KFC and I looked this cashier in the face and I was like, yeah, can I have a Streetwise too? She looked at me like I was crazy. There's no streetwise on the menu.
Like, are you not embarrassed? Because that's OG. That's OG. But apparently some KFCs are country based. Because in the KFC here, they have beans on the side.
They have corn. Selling corn.
I've never seen such.
You know?
Because back home, the KFC has bap and all that type of stuff on the side. You know, coleslaw, and then you have your chicken. You know, classic. I come here, beans. Beans with what? Beans with what? Like, why
Beans
is
is
beans
like
there?
a crispy burger. Why am I having baked beans? Make that make sense. But to them, you know, I think that's not what, you know, they've grown up with. I'm gonna take a slight detour because you're talking about how you went and spoke to you know, the lady and you're asking her for a streetwise thing. Now let's talk about talking to people. Personally, people here are very nice.
Yeah.
And that is scary. Because back home, I mean, not everyone, you know, we love our Kenyans, you know, but back at home, stereotypically, if someone is nice to you, they have an ulterior motive. Let me hold that bag for you. Blink. You don't see you, the man of the bag. Both gone in broad daylight. I remember I was coming and I had 2 heavy suitcases. My suitcases, both of them are 26 kgs each. I'm tired. I arrived at like 11 p.m. So I'm tired. I've been flying the entire day. I just want to figure out how to get to Surrey. I'd been stopped at the bus station down close to Tesco, and then I can't order an Uber because something with credit cards, and I hadn't set that up, and I was like, how'd I get to school? So then there's a lady who came and she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll help you out. I'm going to Surrey either ways on campus. I can just show you where you're going to stop. So I stop. So now I'm busy struggling with my suitcases to get them out. They're busy falling. I'm like, can't be bothered. A lady comes. She was like, oh, the back bench. She comes and like, let me help you. First instinct is like, she's about to steal my suitcase. Yawa. Ooh. But no, she literally came out and she put, you know, the bags down for me, like all the way to the station, like, you know, now the bus station. And she's like, thank you, have a lovely evening. And in my head I was like, oh, you're not getting off here. She's like, no, I just came to help. Like, oh. So do I pay you?
How does this work?
Do we just say thank you and you move on? And I was like, oh, thank you, have a nice evening. And she went and never seen her again. If you see me, please just come say hi. But I've never seen her again. And it's literally the same thing. Even at the stations, people are willing to help you carry your bags up the stairs. If you drop something, I think the day, ironically, I dropped the £10 like note. And someone's like, hi, so you dropped your money. I'm like, are you tricking me? Is this like some witchcraft? Because are you giving me money? Are you sure? I was like, yeah, you just dropped it. Back at home, someone would even step on it, you know, to hide it, just not to be like, yeah. Nah, you haven't dropped. You go. You didn't drop any. Like, think people are just very nice here, and that was very shocking because back at home, everyone is minding their own business and just trying to make ends meet, and being polite is not really on their agenda, you know, and so having to change that mindset to stop thinking like you're on survival mode, just you know, to think you can actually depend, you can restore your faith in humanity. That was a very like eye opening like time for me, because then it's like, okay, you know, something could happen and I can actually reach out to a stranger next to me and be like, this is happening, something is wrong, help me out. And they'll be more than willing to, out of the goodness of their heart. Not saying that they won't do it back at home, but the chances of you meeting someone who's willing to do that with no ulterior motives is very slim in comparison to here. Did you guys ever have like such an experience, really? I mean, it's just me.
Well, for me, back home, like, our biggest point is greeting. Like, on the roads, when you're walking on the street, you greet everyone. Like, that's a sign of respect to greet people. It doesn't matter who they are. You don't need to know them, all that type of stuff. I was told before I came here that people don't really greet people they don't know. Like, they'll just walk past you, and I'm not used to that. I'm so used to, like, even if I don't know you, it's so automatic to be like, oh, hello, you know, and then we carry on about our day. But for here, most people only greet people that they know or like they are mutuals of and all those type of things. What did shock me was their kindness. Like, a lot of people I've come in contact with are genuinely nice people. Like, there's no malice and all those type of things. And it caught me off guard because I was warned that they're not like that. I was told that they're rude, that they only care for themselves, and you just have to basically thug it out, and like fend for yourself in that regard. But the people I've come in contact with, they're very decent, you know, calm. They're approachable. There's not that like tension and all those type of things. I will say that like even with older people, I haven't had any sort of like tension or weirdness, which caught me off guard as well, because I was expecting it. Like, you anticipate that negativity, and you're met back with just normalness, basically. You kind of like, oh, okay, I thought of this situation to come out differently, but you're actually an okay human being. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. But yeah.
What about you, Elaine? No.
I mean, I didn't have really any expectations about people here. But yeah, people are really kind, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
I don't really have any.
We're not complaining, you know. Like, keep on doing. I think that's one of the positive things I've liked about, you know, the Brits. But then, I don't know, again, if it's just me, but, you know, now when it dawns on you that you are a minority, like, it hit me, I think, a month in that you're not used to being the minority. Now you are the minority. Mm-hmm. So, to some extent, as much as I'd like to believe that it was not the case, part of me felt like the people that were just watching me, they're not necessarily closest of friends, just, you know, people just watching you do your thing. Yeah. It could be in classes, it could be in your extracurriculars. They already have a, like, how do I say it? Like a mindset of, you know, of, I guess, the expectation that they have of you. And sometimes it's a bit low, given your, well, visually, like if they just look at you, they can assume what your background is, of which if they assume I'm African, then they assume correct, you know. So coming here, I've always felt like the pressure is just a tad bit greater, because I have to exceed their expectations. So if it's like, oh, wow, Rispa, you did well in this test, it's not that I did well enough for an African person. I did well enough, period. Mm-hmm. You know, I put in the effort, I put in the time, me and the library were besties, you know, me and my professors were besties. Mm-hmm. So all that effort is translated to my grades, you know, to my results. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like people just tie that to, you know, yeah. And because of that, I really try my very best to just exceed the expectations, just make you feel like, yeah, I am able to do this, end of story. Not because I look, or I am African, not because I'm an international student, but because I'm just capable of doing it irrespective of where, you know, my background, or whatever my background is. Have you guys felt anything of the sorts?
I mean, with the fact that coming from a majority to minority, it was quite weird for me, because in my head, you just feel outnumbered in a way, and then in random points you're like, damn, I just want to see a POC just once, just come past me, or make friends with people of color, just to surround yourself with that again, that familiarity, you know what I mean? Because back home it's like 78% black people population wise, so coming here it's like, damn, okay, not only am I the minority, but I'm basically having to fight against our preconceived notions of Africans, black people, and how they are in the UK, and trying your best to not like attach yourself to that identity, you know, like too much, especially when it comes to, I don't even know if you've ever been frustrated over something or angry over something in public. You don't want to do it too much, because it's like, it's attached to the blackness, and it's like, no, I'm a human being. The bottom line is, if something annoys me, I'll be annoyed, like that's expected. But then people are going to be like, obviously she's gonna be angry. Look at her, it's
Yeah,
like, oh,
it's like,
okay,
obviously you
wait.
had to react that way.
Wait,
Mhm.
So trying to fight that, it's been a back and forth just a little bit, but yeah, it's not. I haven't had any major issues with being approached stereotypically, like someone being like, oh, because you're African, therefore. However, funny joke, or not even a joke, I remember I was speaking to someone and they go, oh, your English is quite good for a South African. I was like, ugh.
That happens to me all the time. Like, I'm speaking to someone and they're like, oh, by the way, your English is really good. And I know technically English is my second language, but I've been speaking it since I was 2. So,
And not by choice either way.
exactly.
No, for me, it's the fact that you're surprised. Like, why? Why are you surprised? Because I realized, when I mean, because we're doing a podcast, obviously you have to maintain some accent over there so that everyone who's listening does
Can hear
understand. But
you.
when behind the scenes, if I'm speaking to my fellow Kenyans or fellow East Africans, even broadly just like fellow Africans, the accent that comes out is entirely different from if I speak to like the Europeans, because now with them, if I change my R's and L's and I say fish instead of fish and I'm like rolly instead of lori, like they'll get it. They will get, especially if it's Kenyans, because it's a tribal thing. They will get yeah, it's okay. But on this other side, it's now, ooh, your English isn't that good, But so when I start articulating my words and using big complex words to put across what I'm trying to say, because the truth of the matter is we are sophisticated beings and we've struggled so hard to get to this point. So obviously our English just is not necessarily the most perfect version, but when spoken, it can flow naturally in comparison if we were to speak like our very first language. So for you to be so surprised and ask, wow, you speak so well. I'm like, thank you. And at the times I'd be like, should I just play with you a bit and tell you like I learned it from like watching Madagascar 3 or like or should I actually tell you like, yeah, actually, back at home, English is our national language, so we did have to learn it from the earliest age as soon as you start school. But the times I'll be like, oh yeah, thank you. Actually I learned it like a couple of months ago. I'm like, really? Yeah, just root it to my dictionary. Me and Oxford were besties. Sometimes we could just want to have some fun with them. But it's something you mentioned that I wanted to point out to. It's on community. I don't know, there's a word that you use that just made me think about the sense of community here. It's, I mean, we're all friends. The friend groups I have really made it easier for me to settle in here, because I would have a problem, especially given that our majority of our friend group is made up of international students. So even though they're not going through exactly what I'm going through, but they can empathize much better than anyone else would, and so it would be much easier for me to go speak to them and just tell them, hi, so this is what I'm going through, chat to me about it.
I just need a bit of help.
But it's I don't know, it just got so much better when I found a group of like Kenyans and mostly East Africans that now I can sit and get to actually speak Swahili when I feel like I can actually have a break and speak my own the language I'm so used to that just rolls out so easily. It just feels so much better. And I think when you look at now like African countries and communities, the sense of community back at home is so strong. Yeah, maybe there might be beef between a cousin here or two, but when things actually get tough, people are more than willing to lend a hand and help you out. You'd hear an uncle has gotten sick, no one's gonna hesitate to donate, even if it's the smallest amount you have. It will amount. You give your 100, I give my 100, I give my 100, someone else gives. By the time it adds, it will add up eventually. But then coming here, there's so much of, I don't know if individuality is a word. Individualism. It's there's so much because everyone's just trying to make
type of thing.
and that kind of, it just
It is
it
off-putting a bit.
it did shock me because that's not what you're used to. I'm so used to going back home. Hi Rispa, how have you been? How is school? You're doing great. I was told you passed. Congratulations. So what year are you in? When is your they just wanna know here's hi, how are you? Good. So, down to business, I don't know, how have you guys felt with the community around you, but also like now just zooming out, looking at, I guess, I'd say the British community, or more or less of the foreign community. Let's talk about it like that. Like, have you noticed any big differences?
I think, I don't know if this is just a Manor Park thing, but everybody eats in their room. And I'm used to having like everybody coming together to eat in one place at the same time, especially at school. Like we'd all be eating at the same time, and it was like a big family, even though we weren't really related. But here everyone eats in their room, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of lonely because you live with these people, but you never see them. I don't know if you guys experience that.
Yeah, like literally the same. Back home, we have our cultures and everything, and within each, you have that community built, that sort of foundation of like, even if we're far apart, we're still here. Like there's still that like home for you if you need it. We're here for you. But here, people are more focused on themselves, and the eating in your room thing is crazy because back home they'd be like, come downstairs, it's supper. Eat at the table. We're all telling each other about the day, what we did, our activities, what we're anticipating, all those type of things. You can't even have that here because listen, you walk into the kitchen, someone's doing here, someone's there. It's dead quiet. Wearing your earphones, no one's really talking.
Glued to their phone.
Yeah, you don't know these people, but you're living with them, and that there's like this barrier of like you don't want to be too like, okay, tell me about your day.
Yeah, because sometimes someone may feel like you're doing too much,
But that's what I'm used to. I'm used to telling you about my day because I want to know how you are, because that's where it all starts, you know what I mean? But then here, people are just like, oh, just leave it. Like, I'm hungry. Let me just make my food and then go to my room and then blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that with earphones. They're always wearing earphones. Washing dishes, earphones. Cooking, earphones. There's no point where you can be like, let's talk. Just me and you. No, nothing, Yeah.
Yeah, and it does make me feel like I miss the whole like family gatherings back at home, because you don't even need your phone from the moment you wake up, because you go to the kitchen busy laughing about something, someone just come and tells you a story, you weren't even part of it, but they'll tell you, let me tell you what happened, and you die. And what I even like more about being at home is the uglier the laugh, the more honest it is. You're cackling, your ribs are dying, you're like, let me breathe.
You're slapping each other.
If but they're like, and I'm like, oh, but I want to laugh so hard because it's so funny. Like that's what I love. But then you come here and it's like,
You almost have to tone yourself down.
Because me personally, my laugh comes from my gut, it's loud and deep because it's genuine. We don't just laugh at anything. I can't be how's your day, ha ha ha. We don't know. So if I find something genuinely funny, I'm preparing my intestines to get it out, and then when it's come out, it's so loud where you can tell, Rispa is dying,
And it's so great when your laugh makes other people around you laugh. Like
when it's intoxicating.
Yeah. That contagious laugh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't experienced that as much here as I do at home, because I think my laugh, as just like yours, very loud, very funny. So yeah.
No, but that laugh contains a lot of joy. Like
it's genuine. That's the main
it's
part.
very genuine, And I realize that laugh only comes out whenever I'm around very, very close people. If I'm just talking to my fellow Africans, because I know I laugh, you'll hear my laugh, and then you laugh, and then when you continue adding, it's just compound effects, and then just But just going back to the family gatherings, like you could just talk about anything and everything, and the stories will come up and the jokes would come up. They're not dad jokes. They're just you joking around with. Another thing is how we can joke around with each other. It's not really like I am insulting you, but picking on something about you that you don't like,
Yeah.
then you kind of make it a joke. You know, it's not necessarily like I'm bullying you, but both all gonna laugh about it.
Yeah.
You know, all gonna. But you try that here. You're so rude.
That's quite insensitive.
You know, like you didn't need to say that. I think you're being mean. And then I'm like, yeah.
If only you knew.
I forgot. You know, if you go back home,
you'd be
You
crying
wouldn't-
in a week, bro.
you wouldn't
a
survive.
week.
You know, and so whenever, like, just back to community, just when you call back home, and you get to talk to them. I like it when I put my headphones on. I'm talking to my mom, and they're talking in Swahili, and I'm dying because I'm telling her of what happened, and she's telling me how home is, and it feels much. It's the closest feeling I can get to feeling like I'm at home. But at the same time, it just makes you want to go back home. You know, you just feel like I just want to finish and go back. You know, and now this also kind of hints out to when you're talking about missing out on events at home. I have a cousin that got married and has a child. Me, I didn't know that. And then I'm seeing a picture being posted, and I'm like, when did this happen? You know? Missing out on my siblings' birthdays, that is paining me, bro. Especially now that, I'm seeing them growing up. Like having seen them grow up, like we love them, but when you're with them 24/7, you just like get out of my face. But now it's like, honestly, like I just long to be in your presence. So missing out on their birthdays, missing out on their small achievements, it's. When I'm back home in Jan, because I have a younger brother, man, he almost forgot like my face. Like, I just felt my heart shatter because like I've just been gone for 4-5 months.
It's horrible, and it's not even like always the big things, just the small things, like having dinner together, or just waking up and your family being the first thing that you see.
Yeah. All of that.
And just having a meal with them. And then, even if you don't get to talk to them as much, at least when you go back home, they're gonna be there. And, something will happen and you'll all laugh. And you'll be like, good night, see you tomorrow. And, you wake up tomorrow and you have tea, our strong tea. If you're having some arrowroot, some pumpkin, just healthy food stuff, not beans and toast, It's I think it's the most painful thing. Just missing out on such stuff. And then when you come back, a lot has happened, I mean, a lot has also happened in your life. Like, you've changed, you've grown, you've gained so much experience. I think whenever, it's one thing to live alone, but when you're living alone abroad, it forces you to be an adult fast.
And I think it's completely different, our experience, from people who move from different cities in the UK, or like international students who have their families here. Like, we are completely alone.
For them, if something happens, they can take a train, a bus, they can call, someone can come pick them up, For us, you have to, the only thing, you can call back home just to let them know that it's happening. They can try their very best to help you. But at the end of the day, the decision is remains, you have to make the choice. What are you gonna do? Especially financially, you have to make financial decisions for yourself. You could just eat all your money one day, but you're gonna know the next day you have to figure out where that the next next meal is gonna come from. It's, you're just forced to be an adult so fast. So when you go back home, the Rispa that they knew 6 months ago is entirely different from the Rispa who's coming back. She's making much more, I guess, educated decisions, informed decisions. She has much more information on how to handle her finances. She has a rough idea of the job industry is looking like, how to interact with, how to network with people, how to interact with her elders, in a much more formal and respectful manner, how to form those close connections. Back then, you just
It just happened.
It just happened. You'd
Yeah.
rely on your parents to
Yeah.
introduce you. You'd
Yeah.
rely on your parents to take you to the hospital. But now it's like when you fall ill, you have to figure out, are you going to go to the hospital? Are you going to buy over-the-counter medication and, sort yourself out,
Being sick, I got food poisoning like a couple weeks ago, and it was the worst thing because I was sick. I felt like I was dying, but I had to figure out for myself what
How
to
to
do,
treat yourself.
how to treat myself, what's going on, should I go to hospital? And it's the worst thing because you call your mom and she can't even do anything for you.
You're alone, like you are fully alone. You get cut, you have to heal that wound, you have to tend to it by yourself. Figure out financially, can I pay for this and still be fine for the rest of the month, or am I going to struggle as a result? Me, I'll just drink tea. Whenever I feel that, drink some tea and just leave it, because at this point, what can you do? Because being back home, you got that comfort of knowing, oh, there's stuff in the cupboard. Just open the cupboard, there's some medication, you're sorted. But now, being so far, you have to counter in the finances of it and what you actually need. Like, you can't just spend for the sake of spending. You need to be smart about it. You know what I mean? Because I have trauma when it comes to finances.
And it's not just food, you guys. Can we talk hair? Can we talk braids?
Whatever is hiding underneath this.
Like, I love my natural hair. I do. My afro is the best. But I don't want to deal with it. And there's no way I'm going to pay £100 just to get my braids done. Why are the prices so obscene?
I'm scared to go to salons here. Because I'm like, do they actually accommodate for our type of hair, or are they ruining it by using products that they use on their main
What
clients?
you find is that, especially if you're looking for like just simple, like let's say box braids, and then someone's charging you £100 minus the hair extension itself, minus blow dry, minus washing, and then you have to come with your own products. It's because you'd find, because we are minorities, and then you'd find within us there are very few people who want to just embrace their natural hair. So we're a niche sector, and because they just want to extort. Well, that's what I'm assuming, like from an econ or like business perspective, because you're very small, you're not gonna get it from somewhere else, So they can charge as a one, but knowing that you really need that service, you'd be much willing to put that money up front and pay for it, Me personally, I'm not.
I'm cheap.
Personally, I'm not willing to do that. And I think it also, when you go back home, everyone knows how to breed. Everyone. So from the age of 13, I knew how to do like the braids on my head.
Walk
Natural
200
braids.
meters without finding a saloon that can do your hair.
And if they tell you, if you find the price is greater than the other, let's say by like 50 bob, 50
Walk
shilling,
another 200
you
meters.
just walk away. Like, thank you. And then, madam, come. Let's negotiating, guys. That's another thing. We can't negotiate. It's a fixed price. Unless you go to like the small tea shops, let's say at like Camden Market, and the person there is an Indian who also happens to love the world of negotiating. For you, madam, £5. £3. Let's do 4. £3.50. I have a deal. Here it's fixed price. Back at home, depending on how you look, how you sound like, the region where you're staying at. Also the type of salon. If I go to the kiosks, the ones made of mabatis, it's very cheap, where everyone's just talking, everyone's just enjoy. You just get cheaply, you look great, and you're out. If you go down to sophisticated in malls, and everyone, they have gloves on and everything, and they have different combs for different hairs, and just now I'm gonna be just an extra price, but all these other factors come into play, and then they figure out for you, I think you're capable of paying this amount, but deep down, I can't even afford a fifth of what you're asking for. But it's the hair. It's so hard for us to just, if you wanna maintain your natural hair, which I'd just recommend to anyone who, I guess, wants to still. I mean, if hair is a very big part of not necessarily your personality, but your lifestyle. You just like to embrace your natural hair, especially for those of us who have come from far, struggle just growing it, making sure heat damage is not a thing, cutting your split ends, maintaining the curls and everything. If you still want to maintain that, just learn how to do your hair. Come with products from home. If you come in braids, the braids have to last for at least a month and a half for you to figure out what you're gonna do with your hair after you take the braids out. If you're gonna come with other packets, come with them, do your own braids. You just kind of have to, learn that skill. But it's a struggle.
It is.
And no one, personally, I mean, I knew there were gonna be differences,
but I didn't expect it to this extent.
Yeah,
like,
it's
because
vast.
I mean, there are Black people in this country. There are people with hair like ours, but I didn't expect the ratio to be so skewed that it gets to the point that you have to pay £100.
Just
Where
a braid.
exactly, where at home it would be like a fraction of that.
Yeah. Because I saw that someone's salary back home, £100.
£100 is someone's salary
It
for a
has to
month.
be.
You're getting
It
it
has to
because
be.
of one head. Imagine if you braid like 4 or 5 heads that day.
£500. You would think the braiding was made out of gold.
Braiding
Because
golden
what?
hair.
You're braiding with like Samson's hair now. Like some elite
Like
extensions.
crazy.
It's oh damn, bro. We can just like sit on that and whew. But we survived.
Yeah.
Yeah?
The main thing.
I'd assume so. I mean, we're in the process of surviving.
Yeah.
I think there are things that are still hard and we're still learning, but
We know more now than we did then, so
yeah.
that's what matters.
What did you guys say would have been more convenient for you if you had it beforehand, or if like how do I say it? What things could have been implemented beforehand before you coming to the UK that would have essentially made it easier for you to transition into this culture and kind of not really, I'd say, minimize not the damage, but due to lack of better words, I'll use damage that you got from like culture shock, like what things could have been put in place.
Winter clothes.
You could have bought some.
Because the winter clothes back home, I mean, depending which part of the country, because the winters are different. Some winters are warm, other places it's very, very cold. So from where I'm from, the winters usually like 20s, 18, 19, and that's warm here. So I'm like, so when I came with my winter clothes, it was not good. Like it didn't do anything at all. I was still freezing under them. And the chargers, the 3-point plug. I was around back home. The ones here were square. So the first 2 days, I couldn't charge anything because I was trying to find those pinpoint chargers.
So you had to buy like new
I did not
adapters and
expect
everything.
that. I did not expect that because even on the plane, I saw the weird shape and I was like, nah, but I have my adapter from my room. Surely they'll have the round ones. No, they didn't. They didn't. So those two things.
Yeah, the biggest one for me was winter clothes. Yeah, I wore like 3, 4, sometimes even 5 layers throughout the winter. So winter clothes, definitely.
I think for me it was the whole sense of community. Not that I didn't have any, but it could have been, how do I say it? Like the community I had around me were the friends that I made due to the common factor, which is we're all international students, so we could relate. But if there was a society or a system in place where, like an international student society, I could reach out to people in the years above me and chat to them, be like, hi guys, I've just gotten here,
What do I do?
still trying to adjust.
Impart your wisdom.
I am missing home so hard. Homesickness is real,
So real.
and I was a victim so many times. What do I do? And then they won't, it's different for me going to like a counselor or talking to my tutor, because all they can do is try to put themselves in my shoes, but they can't even begin to understand what I mean by I'm homesick. For you, homesick could be you stay in like Bristol, so you just, 2 hours away by train. For me, homesick is a 17-hour flight back home.
Tens and thousands of kilometers away.
Hundreds and hundreds of pounds for me to get back home. So it's not every day I can call and be like, I come home.
Yeah.
And my mom
Yeah.
just immediately sends me an Emirates airline ticket, come home tomorrow. It's not that. So if having such a society where I can just reach out and then they can literally just tell me this is what they did when they were in my shoes. This is how it helped them cope. So you already know what the type of things you just already kind of, if I knew in September that I needed to stock up on vitamin D pills, I would have avoided that seasonal depression. I feel like depression has a negative connotation around it. So I'd say the fluctuation of mood, because that's what it was. For me, it was just fluctuation. I'd be very energetic one time and then immediately my energy just goes down and I just don't want to do anything. I'd not necessarily avoid it, but I could have foreseen it and it wouldn't have hit me as hard. And then start thinking, what's happening? This is not me. This is not how I usually act. This is not how I usually perform. I would have already like prepared myself mentally and as well physically, because then I'd already started taking the supplements to kind of feeling like that the deficiency. But another thing is also like food, just making like home food or cultural food accessible for us. It's a tad bit more expensive given that it is foreign, but if we could have more stalls, even restaurants, if someone, please, if you in Guildford, just open up an East African restaurant, Roma, I'll come and eat. I just need some gali, like fish over, I will come and munch, or like nyama. I also nyama choma soba, and the street food back at home, it would be so much better for me. Just be like, oh wow, because food really does change your mood. If you have home food, it would really hit. For me, those are the things that I felt would just make it any better for me.
I think the only thing that could have helped, okay, obviously the vitamin D pills definitely helped, but like I just wanted the sun. I wanted to see the sun because the sun was just an ever-present thing at home. Like it never left, it was always there. But for there to be no sun for days on end, it was like the most soul-crushing thing.
Miserable, like you're just miserable.
Ever. And it's not something you can change. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again, but
no, we should. I'm pretty sure now that we've gone through this, I feel like every winter will always be different. It's not that now we've gone through this, the next one we're gonna know what to do, because it'll just come and hit us. But I think now we're more prepared. I think like university should also just inform international students, this is what this is what you're gonna expect. It's not all flowers and petals and sophisticated like bus and trains and the things that you're gonna go through, they're inevitable. You don't know when they're gonna hit, but just be aware. And if you need any help, then there's other people that you can reach out to.
I feel like because I arrived here, I missed freshers because my visa was delayed, which is a whole anxiety-inducing situation. I came here first day. I landed the night before classes started, so I'm completely frazzled. I hope that in future the university can implement something like maybe even a helpline or some sort of not society but just heads, for example, where I can instantly contact them and be like, I just got here, what do I do now? Like, I don't know where anything is, I don't know what to do. Because it was so funny, during semester 1, closer to December, I was figuring out societies that I could join. I was completely oblivious to that. Buildings I had no idea existed, all of those type of things, facilities, and because I'd missed freshers. And it's like, it was already anxiety inducing being at home, knowing that freshers was going on, knowing that I'm missing orientation, which is such a huge point in university in general with that experience. I feel like there should be something like that when, you know, other international students have that problem, because I know for a fact that I was not the only person whose visa was delayed during that time. I was getting more emails from the UK government than the university. I thought I was a federal something because I was like, this is not normal, like why? But apparently there was a huge pushback on visa processing, and like we were both hit by that.
Yeah, I think definitely missing freshers was the worst possible thing that could have happened. I had no idea where anything was. I missed a full week of classes, like when classes. I missed freshers and the first week of classes. So classes were already going on. I was already behind. Google Maps was my best friend. Yeah. For anyone who's watching, download Google Maps.
It does help. It does come in clutch at times, but other times it does fail you. So just be warned.
It will sabotage you, eh?
Yeah, you're passing between bushes and you're like, where's the path? You know, so eventually you'll get used to it. But I'd say, you know, just to wrap things up, it was a fun experience. I mean, if I could go back and do it again, I choose not to, but because I've lived it once and I'm okay with that, you know. But I'd say it was a very fun and eye-opening experience. Given this is the first time, I think I've lived in another country, and just going by myself was also just like, oh wow, like you're an adult, you know, figure it out. But I hope for everyone else, you know, they'll be able to I kind of have an idea of what to expect, you know, when they're either going to work or study abroad, even to just live there. And you can just pick up on the few things we've talked about and kind of stock up on the pills if you need them. And please just enjoy as much time as you possibly can with your family and friends, because you will miss them, and it's the memories that just, you know, keep you going. That's honestly, that would be the last words for me. If it's like any advice, that's the advice I'll give. Just spend as much time as you possibly can, because you will cherish the memories. Any last words of wisdom?
Pack those spices, that's all I'm saying. Pack those spices. Pack them.
Not just spices, utensils. You know how hard it is to get a knife in this country? You just need it. Yeah.
Well, I would say, you know, that's it for today. Thank you to my lovely guests. You guys have been amazing, and thank you to everyone for tuning in to Becoming African, and I will see you next episode.